Hey folks, Valerie here, and I'm going to be showing you how to do mosaic knitting for leg 2 of the Pennsylvania Road Trip Mystery Knit Along. I have a little swatch here that I have started that shows a little bit of what we're going to be doing and how this pattern works. This design is created using knitted and slipped stitches. There are no purls anywhere and no other specialty stitches anywhere. We're just going to knit and slip. And the beautiful thing is that we only have to use one color per row. So what do the instructions for this sort of thing look like? We have written out instructions that have every step written out for you, and that is definitely an option. I know there are people who prefer to have all the words, which is great. We also have charts. This is a sample of the chart that is in the plus size pattern. The one in the Mrs. size looks a little bit different in shape, but they do the same thing. The reason the shape is different is because that red box in the center of each shows the repeated stitches. And because we have different numbers of stitches between the plus size and the Mrs. size, we kind of start at different places on the edges in terms of how many stitches we need to add. So as we add repeats, we're adding edge stitches here, and when we get up here, we've added enough stitches so that we have enough for another repeat. So this kind of scoots back in. So I have a different chart that we're going to work off of tonight for our sample. This one is kind of an enlarged version of the red box, and it shows all the wonderful detail of what we're going to do here. I've actually created this pattern already up through row 22. So for row 23, starting here, we're going to slip a stitch and then we're going to knit a stitch, and that's what I've created as an edge for this little swatch sample that we're doing. So we're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches in color D, and then we are going to slip a stitch, and then we're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches again in color D, and then we're going to knit to the end of the row. The aqua yarn for my purposes is my color C. It is the lighter of the two. And that is reflected by the white in the pattern. And my purple yarn is my color D, and that is reflected by the turquoise in the pattern. Okay, so I've done my 2 edge stitches, and now I'm going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now I have come to the stitch that I'm going to slip. I always slip my stitches purlwise, and I always slip my stitches with the yarn towards the wrong side of the work. Okay, in this case, this side, you can clearly tell that is not the pretty side. That's the wrong side of the work. And in this case, when we're working on the right side row, the wrong side is to the back, so we want to hold our yarn to the back as we slip that stitch. And then we're going to continue to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to knit the edge stitches. The beautiful thing here is that on our way back, you can go and look at the detail for row 24 here and read all of that to go back across. But it's really so much easier to look at this and say, okay, everything that is in purple, I'm going to knit, and everything that's in the aqua, I'm going to slip. It's that easy. So the wrong side rows are really easy. You're just going back and doing giving the same treatment to the same stitches all over again. Okay, so I do have a little bit of edge here, so I slipped one and I knit one. Now on the shawl, remember you're slipping one, knitting two, right? So now I've got some purple stitches here, so I'm just going to knit those purple stitches. And now I have come to an aqua stitch. Now, I said we are always going to slip purlwise, and I also said we're always going to have the yarn towards the wrong side of the work. Well, the wrong side is to the front now, so I need to bring my yarn to the front, slip the stitch, and then take the yarn back to the back again so that I can finish knitting the row. Now, as we look at this, you can see that that aqua stitch is kind of jumping up and kind of breaking up the line of the purple stitches. So even though we only knit with purple, we've got this aqua here in the middle. So now we are going to go on to the next row. Let's look at the pattern and see what it says. So here, we're going to slip one, knit one, because that's the border we have established for this swatch. Then I'm going to knit one, slip one, knit one, slip one. Then I'm going to knit 5, slip one, knit one, slip one, and then I'm going to knit to the end of the row. So we are going to slip that first stitch with the yarn in front and then move the yarn to the back. And now I'm going to pick up my aqua yarn, and here's my edge stitch, my second edge stitch. And now I'm going to knit one, slip one, knit one, slip one. And as I am slipping those stitches, I'm keeping my yarn loose as I'm carrying across. If I pull that super tight, it's going to pull the whole thing in. And I don't want to do that because it will mess with the drape of the fabric. Okay, so now I'm ready to knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm going to slip one, knit one, slip one, and then I'm going to knit to the end of the row. To do the wrong side on the way back, I'm going to go ahead and turn my work. I'm going to slip the stitch purlwise and knit my edge stitch. Whoops. And now I'm going to go, since I'm working with the aqua yarn, I'm going to knit all the stitches that are aqua, and I'm going to slip all the ones that are purple, but I'm going to make sure I move my yarn to the front of the work, the side towards me, because that's the wrong side, okay? I want to do that when I slip so that the yarn carries don't show when we're showing off our beautiful work. So see, I move my yarn to the front, I'm slipping that stitch, I'm going to move it back and knit the next stitch. Again, tension is really important here. As you're moving your yarn back and forth, you don't want to pull it real tight because you want your fabric to drape nicely, and you just want that to be a little bit loose as those stitches are being stretched up across essentially 2 rows of work. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and knit my last stitch even though it's purple because it's part of the edge, and we always knit the last stitch. Okay, so you can see here our first slip stitch from the first row we did. That's kind of connecting now to the aqua that we just knitted. And we've got some of the purple ones getting ready to start doing their thing. Okay, so here you see the finished pattern in all its glory. That is all 40 rows, and it was finished off with a couple rows of plain garter there. And it just is a really striking design, and it was really simply done. I hope you enjoy mosaic knitting.